So today, what we will be dealing with is a few static portions first, and then we will get on to our next chapter, which is state government and administration. I would like to tell you where we are standing right now so that you also get to know what is the status of our syllabus. So we are done with evolution of Indian administration. We are done with philosophical and constitutional framework of government. We are done with PSUs. We are done with union government and administration. Plans and priorities, if you actually see, like I told you, majority of those topics are actually not required with the current ongoing trend that is there. That is machinery of planning, role composition, planning commission, NDC, all these are irrelevant. So that is why we have just stuck to a brief history about what is planning commission and then Niti Aayog. Sixth chapter, state government and administration, we are starting it today. That means 50% of the syllabus we have hit. What remains is then district administration, civil services, financial management, administrative reforms since independence, rural development, urban local development, law and order administration, and then significant issues in public administration. All right. Why I said 50% is here again, many topics overlap. So all this we will be combining together and we'll be doing it, especially the chapter on paper 1, if you see financial administration, your monetary fiscal policy, public borrowing and public debt, budget types and forms, budgetary process, financial accountability, accounts and audit. And the same thing, it is there in financial management. Budget as a political instrument, parliamentary control of public expenditure, role of finance ministry, accounting techniques, audit, role of CAG. Clear, people? So this is what I had meant, that many things will overlap. So literally, we are only left with another 50% from paper 2, or rather 25% of the syllabus is only remaining now. Clear? So you can, like, you know it, that we are on the right track and we'll be finishing the syllabus on time as expected. So without any further delay, once again, my Telegram channel people, any doubts or queries that you have, please, you can ask it over here. Independent regulatory commissions, this is again for your information. We are talking about the general features, etc. But like I told you, broadly a question from independent regulatory commission, if you are going to get, there are two things you can expect from here. One is the static topic itself. For a 10 marker, UPSC will do that. Give a brief description about independent regulatory commissions. They can come, no doubt. Or whatever independent regulatory commissions are frequently coming in news. Based on that also you can get a question. Clear? So it is very, very important that you stay tuned with the current affairs. All right. So let us see without any further delay. Those commissions and boards which enjoy the status of independence from the executive and have the power to formulate their own policies are known as independent regulatory commissions. They are characteristically American device to undertake public regulation of private economic activities. Public regulation of private economic activities. That is, government is regulating how private businesses conduct their affair. Case in point being SEBI. How SEBI is regulating the market, because mostly there are, who is involved there? Private players. Competition Commission of India. How they ensure that the competition is fair and conducted in a transparent manner. Clear, people? Good afternoon, Abhinav. Good afternoon, Satish. The need for such regulation and control became apparent with the growing industrialization of the country during the 19th century. We are the country, when I say here, please understand, we are talking about USA. This form of organization is the result of the application of the disintegrated principle in administrative organization. What do you mean by disintegrated principle in administrative organization? Means this is a completely separate body. It has only one job: regulate. It is not directly linked to the politics, etc. Generally, if you see SEBI, you talk about Competition Commission of India, you talk about, has got nothing to do with politics. So it's completely, if you look at it, it is very independent in its working. Then the regulatory commissions perform two sets of functions. They set up standards and rules to govern the behavior of a particular industry, like how SEBI sets rules or CCI, Competition Commission of India, sets rules. They enforce these standards and rules and prosecute the defaulters. Means they can even punish them. So this was, I think, last year. You know, the Bollywood actor Arshad Varsi and his wife, both of them were banned by SEBI from trading in share markets. Both of them were banned. Why they've got banned, etc., that you can Google by yourself. But the fact of the matter is, can SEBI ban somebody from investing in share market or stock market? Absolutely yes. The commissions are thus engaged in administrative legislation, rule making, and administrative adjudication. These bodies are marked by the following features. That is, they do make rules and they also decide on administrative issues, like deciding on cases. Clear? These commissions are manned by experts and are relatively small. They are collegial, consisting of a group of men discussing and arriving at decisions by majority vote. That means decisions are taken mostly collectively, not individual decision making. They are relatively independent of the chief executive. That is, generally, if you see, governmental interference with such bodies will be bare minimum. All right. Moving on. Nature of regulation. Delicensing of industries, permissible private entry into the public sectors, liberalization of taxes and tax holidays to privately owned firms and corporate mark the coexistence of public and private sectors in the Indian economy since the late 80s. In order to ensure a level playing field and to safeguard public interest, the policymakers formalized the incorporation of three types of regulations. What do you mean by delicensing of industries? That means to set up an industry, you don't require license. Certain industries. Or already there is one industry, you want to start one more branch. No need of a separate license again. First, permissible private entry into public sectors. That is allowing private players to compete with government-owned enterprises. Liberalization of taxes. Tax holidays. Tax holidays means you need not pay the tax for at least 1 or 2 years of your business. The first 2 years of your business, you need not pay any taxes. So all these measures, when we adopted, obviously you're allowing private players now more space. Zyada space abhi aap de rahe ho. So what is the deal here? They have to become, you have to ensure that private players follow the certain set of principles or follow the guidelines and work accordingly. In order to ensure a level playing field and to safeguard public interest, the policymakers formalized the incorporation of three types of regulations. Economic regulation. These are regulations targeting economic or market failures. Rules that proscribe and punish market distorting behavior. So I'll explain it over here. So what Mr. Arshad Varsi and his wife did was that Arshad Varsi, let us say, he will buy 100 shares of a company. Okay. What will happen to that share value of those company? Because 100 shares somebody is buying or 200 shares somebody is buying suddenly. What will happen? Share prices will increase. Once it reaches a very high level, he will sell it. Make money. Wife also started doing the same thing. So they will buy, then they will sell. Buy, sell. Like this, they were doing it in bulk. Something similar to what Mr. Hansal Mehta, etc. did during the 1992, stock scam. That is, go on buying the shares. Once it reaches a very high value, then dump it immediately. Make money out of it. Same thing. So once SEBI found out that this was what these two are doing, they banned both of them from taking part in the share market. The firms may resort to anti-competitive practices by charging a price more than the assigned, product hoarding, and abuse of dominant or monopoly power. Again, dominant or monopoly power. That is, I am dominant. I am exerting my rights. This was there during the release of Jab Tak Hai Jaan, Shah Rukh Khan's movie, and Ajay Devgan's Son of Sardar. The thing was simple. Both the movies got released on the same date. But Yash Raj Films, as well as Shah Rukh Khan being Shah Rukh Khan, what they did was that they tried to secure maximum screens very early. So Ajay Devgan's company decided to file a case against them, telling that these people have misused their dominant position in the film industry market, and he filed a complaint with the Competition Commission of India. Competition Commission of India later ruled that no, there was no monopoly here. It is just that YRF, Yash Raj Films, booked it much in advance. That's the only difference. Legislations have been enacted that empower authorities to prevent such practices. Thus, regulation through a set of transparent, consistent, and non-discriminatory rules can create a competitive and dynamic environment that can prevent negative practices by market players. Regulation in public interest. Some of the major regulations pertain to ensuring affordable pricing, transparent public distribution system, free distribution of potable water, and free power supply to agriculture, free schooling, free health system, etc. Getting the picture here. In the name of public interest also, the prices of these essential commodities can be brought down. Then, environmental regulation. The protection of environment is an imperative for the society, as a clean and healthy environment enables economic and social development. Initiatives taken by Ministry of Environment, Central and State Pollution Control Boards, and National Green Tribunal act as a deterrent to the misuse of green environment and entails punitive actions. So we can very well see in the recent Delhi example, we can see they are taking the initiative to clean Yamuna. All right. So that example also we can see there. Merits of regulatory commissions. They are generally free from partial control or favoritism. They can resist outside influence better than an individual entrusted with the same task. Accountability can be easily fixed on IRCs as they have only one job to do. That is the main thing. So be it SEBI, be it Competition Commission of India, it is very easy to fix the responsibility because they are literally completely what they are. In FW RICS terms, we can call them what? Properly differentiated or diffracted bodies. So as you can clearly see, they are free from partial control or favoritism as they generally consist of what? Domain experts. And resist outside influence better than an individual entrusted with the same task. Because the reason is that it's not about a political appointment. These are people who are having domain knowledge. So political interference also, if you see, it is very, very less. Clear? Demerits, good afternoon, Suganya, or rather criticism. They tend to be the headless fourth branch of government. Headless fourth branch means you have legislature. All right, that is the parliament. Then you have the government headed by the prime minister. Then you have the judiciary. At the top, you have Supreme Court. This is like a headless fourth branch because why? They are completely independent. Nobody is there to control them. And on top of it, decisions are taken collegially. It's not one individual. Yes, we can hold the SEBI chief responsible. We can hold the Competition Commission of India chairperson responsible. But still, ultimately, if you see, there is no clear responsibility. As in, SEBI chief cannot be thrown in jail. It's not easy because it's ultimately a collective decision. They end up becoming islands of autonomy that is not integrated with the larger politico-administrative system. They will function according to how they feel it fit. They will not look into how it is going to affect the government, how it will affect the administration, etc. Some of the commissions have quasi-judicial and quasi-legislative functions which violated the principles of separation of powers between executive and legislative. True, they can make their own laws, just like SEBI. They can also punish, again like SEBI. So in such a scenario, what will happen? It goes against the principle of separation of powers between executive and judiciary as well as legislative. Some of the commissions have not been effective in thwarting malpractices. That is, if you look at our general functioning till now, take the National Green Tribunal itself. Has it been able to stop the environmental violations that have been happening in the country? They tend to function in an ad hoc manner. That means SEBI also, after a scam occurs, then they react. Not before that. They don't take proactive measures. Most of the time, their methods or measures are what? After the damage has occurred. It has led to poor coordination among governmental agencies. All right. So that is about IRC. The other details, etc., please do watch my YouTube videos. All right. Public administration related YouTube videos, please do watch it. And based on the articles there, you will get a fair idea about whether any IRCs are in news or not. Now, public-private partnership, again, it's a topic which you can find it in paper 1 of our syllabus also. So that we will be discussing here today. And here again, public-private partnership, it all means what? Public player, private player coming together to get a job done. How it is done, what are the different ways by which it is done, and what are some terms and terminologies associated with it, that is what we are going to see now. Very theoretical again. An arrangement between a government or statutory entity or government owned entity, that means it can be a PSU on one side and a private sector entity on the other for the provision of public assets and or public services. Through investments being made and or management being undertaken by the private sector entity for a specified period of time. That is, either investments are being made or you have to manage something for a certain period of time, like a road or a highway or an airport. Well-defined allocation of risk between the private sector and the public entity. The private entity is chosen on the basis of open competitive bidding. That is, whoever quotes the best price, whoever is able to help the government better, that particular private entity is chosen. Any of this can be an example of what? PPP. Private entity receives performance-linked payments that conform or are benchmarked to specified and predetermined performance standards measurable by the public entity or its representative. Means what? How much revenue are you generating? What was the target given to you? Have you generated more revenue than that? In that case, you will be given a share of it. You were told to complete the project by, let us say, March 31st. But you finished the project by March 24th, 1 week in advance. You get a bonus. All these are some of the features of what? Public-private partnership. Taking it further forward. Types of PPPs. Public-private partnerships can take a wide range of forms varying in the degree of purpose, involvement of the private entity, legal structure, and risk sharing. That is, what is the purpose? How involved is the private entity? What is the legal structure? And how is the risk getting shared here? A PPP is generally memorialized in a contract or agreement to outline the responsibilities of each party and clearly allocate risk. The broad contractual forms as covered by extant policy include DBFOT or BOT. Let us see what is that. The most common form of PPP used were the private sector operator designs, builds, finances, owns, and constructs the facility and operates it commercially for the concession period, after which facility is transferred to the authority. Means private player will design it, build it, operate it, design it, build it, finance it, own it, and then transfer it. How long will they own it? For a certain period, 10 years, 15 years, depends. Once the private player has made enough money, then only the asset gets transferred to whom? The government. In this case, legal ownership of the asset vests with the public sector once the concession period ends. The most common form of a BOT project is a toll road project. BOT means build, operate, and transfer. I will build it. I will operate it. I'll make my profit. Once I've made enough profit, I'll transfer the project back to the government. Clear? Operations and maintenance, service contract. The government bids out the right to deliver a specific service or gives part of the undertaking to the private sector for operations and maintenance of the assets. Say, for example, most of the airports in our country has been to operation and maintenance of it has been given to Adani Group. Clear? Such contracts are normally of a shorter duration than concession contracts. Generally, it will be like 5 years, like that it will be. So after 5 years, at the end of the contract, either they will go for fresh competitive bidding or they will extend the contract if they are satisfied with the services. Lease, develop, operate, and maintain, a variation of BOT. Assets are leased out to the private sector under specific terms to operate and maintain the asset for the term of the concession period. That is, asset is given out. Maybe let us say the platform in a railway station. It is leased out to private player for what? They can run shops there. They can run hotels there. Then they will develop it. That is, they will put nice bulb, lighting, everything. They will operate it. They will maintain it for a short duration. Again, they can transfer it back. So there is, in all these models, you must understand one thing. Government is not losing the ownership rights completely, because ultimately the control lies with the government. Any model you take, design, build, fund, own, transfer, build, operate, transfer, going on lease you talk about, or operation and maintenance you talk about, government doesn't lose its ownership rights. Once the private player does the initial development, etc., it is then left to the government to just simply maintain it. Clear? Ministry of Finance, Government of India requires the project sponsors to award PPP projects through a transparent, open, competitive bidding process for greater transparency and consistency to the bid process in terms of contract throughout the project lifecycle and market discovery of rates. Whatever projects are being awarded or being given should be based on what? Competitive bidding, tender. You bid based on whose price is more competitive, government will choose the contractor. Unsolicited proposals and subsequent award of such proposals to the bonus and Swiss challenge route is not supported, as this introduces various asymmetries into the procurement process. Bonus and Swiss challenge route. What is the Swiss challenge route? Swiss challenge route is simple. Let us say we have to construct a metro rail. My company will quote, let us say, 50 crore per kilometer. As per Swiss challenge method, it is this quote what I have given, they will place it in a government website and they will invite challenges. Anybody to challenge this. If anybody is able to quote it lesser than this, that is 45 crore per kilometer, Suganya makes a quote. 45 crore per kilometer, she can do the metro project. Then they will wait. Now, my bid is no more considered important. They will consider only 45. They will wait for a few more days till somebody challenges this. If nobody comes to challenge, contract will go to Suganya. That is Swiss challenge method. And if she's able to do it at a still lower price, she'll be paid a bonus for it. Getting the picture here? Instead of this, what they're telling is no more such challenges and all, straight away open competitive bidding. Openly, that is, in a room, let us sit together. Abhinav is there, Satish is there, Suganya is there, I am there. Whoever quotes the lowest price, it will be given to them. Getting the point here? So, that's the idea here. These asymmetries include informational asymmetry and bidding asymmetry between an original proponent and its competitors, as the original proponent essentially gets an opportunity to make the best and final offer after one or more rounds of negotiation, an opportunity that is denied to its competitors who are not authorized to submit an equal number of negotiated response. This would also lead to lack of robust bid submission by other potential bidders. That means in Swiss challenge method, what actually happens is so first bid was given by Suganya, or I gave a bid, or wait a minute, Suganya gave a bid 50 crore. Now I tell them, okay, I am ready to give it at 45. Suganya still has the option to bring it down and bring it down to 40. The original proponent and its competitors, as the original proponent essentially gets an opportunity to make the best and final offer after one or more rounds of negotiation, which is denied to its competitors. Just for your information, don't even have to remember it, even for GS or even for that matter, even for public administration. Just to let you know. This would also lead to lack of robust bid submission by other potential bidders. Government incentives. The government has facilitated the PPP sector by offering viability gap funding scheme. Just a minute, people. Viability gap funding of up to 40% of the cost of the project can be accessed in the form of a capital grant. That means I started a project. ₹60 crore I have already spent. Okay. 100 crore is considered to be the value of the project. I already spent 60 crore. Now I have run into some financial issues. Viability gap funding means how much money is required here? Another 40 crore is required to make the project operational. What is the total value of the project? 100. What is 40% of that? 40 crore. So if the government provides me with another 40 crore, the project becomes viable, workable. That is the point here. So viability gap funding simply means how much more money is required to get the project into action. India Infrastructure Project Development Fund. Scheme supports central and state governments and local bodies through financial support for project development activities, feasibility reports, project structuring, etc. for PPP projects. The IIPDF would assist ordinarily up to 75% of the project development expenses. What do you mean by this? Paperwork. So certain infrastructure projects, when you have to do a lot of research, paperwork, etc. will be there before you even start the project. That itself can run into crores together, 5 crore, 10 crore, etc. Because very big projects require that much amount of paperwork, clearances, all of that. That money also, you can get it from where? Up to 75% India Infrastructure Project Development Fund. On successful completion of the bidding process, the project development expenditure would be recovered from the successful bidder. After the bidding is done, the project is awarded. Then the money will be taken from the bidder. The procurement costs of PPPs, particularly costs of engaging transaction advisory services, are significant and often burden the budget of the sponsoring authority. Department of Economic Affairs has identified the IIPDF as a mechanism through which the sponsoring authority can source funding to cover a portion of the PPP transaction costs, thereby reducing the impact of costs related to such procurement on their budgets. That means that initial costs, whatever are there, that is taken care of. Conducting feasibility study, that study, this study, acquiring raw materials, whatever you want to do, initial costs gets covered here. You need to pay it only later, back to the government. Just a minute, people. From the government of India's perspective, the IIPDF must increase the quality and quantity of bankable projects that are processed through the central or state's project pipeline. Quality also should improve, quantity also should improve. That is the main highlight here. So quality and quantity you need to improve means what? You need more players to come in. More players should be ready to undertake what? PPP projects. So that is the reason why you have IIPDF. The IIPDF will be available to the sponsoring authorities for PPP projects for the purpose of meeting the project development costs, which may include the expenses incurred by the sponsoring authority in respect of feasibility studies, environment impact studies, financial structuring, legal reviews and development of project documentation, including concession agreement. Like I told you, these are all the things that will happen behind. That is why this fund has been kept ready. Once somebody takes up the project, let us say Adani takes up the project, then what will happen? How much money has been spent under IIPDF? That will be taken from Adani. Because Adani need not spend any more money now for conducting feasibility study, etc. Feasibility study, etc. has already been conducted and they have already finalized as to who will, they understood that the project will work. Then they conducted the bidding. Adani won the bidding and finally project is given to Adani. The initial cost before that, maybe say 50 crore, 60 crore, etc. just to conduct all these studies, that will be recovered from Adani. Clear, people? Commercial assessment studies, including traffic studies, demand assessment, capacity to pay assessment, grading of projects, etc. Requirement for achieving technical close of such projects on individual or turnkey basis, but would not include expenses incurred by the sponsoring authority on its own staff. That means other expenses like commercial assessment, grading of the projects, under what grade it comes, like is it very good, very bad, where it is, how risky, how not risky, all of that. Required for achieving technical close of such projects on individual or turnkey basis. Turnkey basis means something that will fasten a process. So all of these are required to fasten what? The quick completion of the project, but would not include expenses incurred by the sponsoring authority on its own staff. That means, understand here, if Adani is the sponsoring authority, salary paid by Adani to his staff here is not calculated. This is exclusively to deal with the pre-project expenses. Getting the point here? Before the project actually comes into completion, the pre-project expenses, what are they? That is what gets covered here. Clear, people? Viability gap funding, little more in detail we will take. The viability gap funding scheme of the Government of India for financial support to public-private partnerships in infrastructure provides financial support of up to 40% of the total project cost in the form of grant, which can be one time or deferred, to infrastructure projects undertaken through public-private partnerships with a view to making them commercially viable. Like I told you, it is the same thing only. If how much money that I should put in now so that the project becomes viable. So private player may say a certain amount. As long as it is within the 40% limit, government will send it. Clear? Then, administered by the Ministry of Finance, budgetary provisions are made in the annual plans on a year-to-year basis for the scheme. The scheme aims at supporting infrastructure projects that are economically justified but fall marginally short of financial viability. That means economically it will work, but they have some more money or money needs are there which needs to be met. Support under the scheme is available only for infrastructure projects where private sector sponsors are selected through a process of competitive bidding. Very, very important. It is only meant for private sector people and only if they have been selected through competitive bidding. Clear? The total viability gap funding under this scheme will not exceed 20% of the total project cost, provided that the government or statutory entity that owns the project may, if it so decides, provides additional grants out of its budget up to a limit of further 20% of the total project cost. Same thing only. If already up to, if 20% you have already provided additional grants, then another 20% is only remaining through which you can give money for viability gap funding. That means overall, come what may, it should not breach 40%. That is the idea here. So 20% additional grant. That means raklo, you keep it, need not pay it back. But once I've given that money, then what is remaining then? Just another 20%. Moving on. VGF under this scheme is normally in the form of a capital grant at the stage of project construction. They will give it at the initial stage only. The idea is to encourage the private player to finish the project at the earliest time possible, so that the private sector is not dependent on funds much. Clear, people? Moving on. Streamlining the PPP projects. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs in its meeting of 27th October 2005 approved the procedure for approval of public-private partnership projects sponsored by central government ministries or central public sector undertakings or statutory authorities or other entities under their administrative control. Pursuant to this decision, a public-private partnership appraisal committee was set up, comprising of the following: Secretary, Department of Economic Affairs; Secretary, Planning Commission, which is no more there; Secretary, Department of Expenditure; Secretary, Department of Legal Affairs; and Secretary of the department sponsoring a project. The committee would be serviced by the Department of Economic Affairs, who has set up a special cell for servicing such proposals. Proposals for the PPPAC are submitted to the DEA PPP cell. The Department of Economic Affairs has developed online PPP toolkits covering 5 infrastructure sectors, namely state highways, water and sanitation, ports, solid waste management, urban transport. What do you mean by a toolkit? Toolkit, right, like the word it says, it is meant for what? Tools that is needed to do something. Toolkit means simply that only. That is, a box is there or a bag is there where certain tools are there. You take it out easily. Easily you can access it for XYZ reason. Online PPP toolkit, when we say, understand this is not your toolbox. This is the online facilities that are available to fasten the projects that are associated with, that is the PPP projects that are associated with highways, water and sanitation, ports, solid waste management, and urban transport. Clear, people? The toolkit is a web-based resource that has been designed to help improve decision making for infrastructure PPPs in India and to improve the quality of the PPPs that are developed. Clear, people? This is the idea here. The Department of Economic Affairs has also developed the PPP Post-Award Contract Management Toolkit, which is the web-based application that has been designed to help improve the contract management and project execution of the infrastructure sector related PPP projects in India. Means what? Post-award contract management. That is after giving the contract. That is, I have given the contract to Satish. After I gave the contract, I need to see, is he having any other issues? Getting the point here? For that, you have what? PPP, Post-Award Contract Management Toolkit. It aims to do so by serving as an efficient guide to the public sector entities involved in the execution of these projects. The toolkit covers three infrastructure sectors, namely highways, ports, and schools. Clear, people? National Monetization Pipeline, NMP. PPP projects we saw. As a topic, if you really ask me, it is a very old topic. It is no more new. What is latest and what is going on right now, if you see, it is National Monetization Pipeline. Monetization means what? Around Indian Railway, every railway station, if you see, there is so much land around it. A port, if you see, there is so much land around it. Airport, you see, there is so much land around it. Why? You go to thermal power station, coal mining plant, everything owned by Government of India, there is so much land around it. Metro, so much of space is there. Idea here is, without letting go of ownership, rent out these places, lease out these places. How you put it in Hindi, baithe baithe paisa kamao. That land is lying vacant. So what can I do? Port land, lend it to private player, let him bring crane or something and do whatever he want. Railway land is there. Okay, somebody wants to start a lodging facility there. Fine, you are going to put it on a railway land, right? You start paying me rent. Easy. So it is very easy. Without losing on your ownership, you are making money. Simple. You are not losing ownership. No, by no stretch of imagination, this land can be acquired by a private player, or the assets can be acquired by any private player. They can only use it, they can only lease it, they can only rent it for a specified time period, after which contract can be cancelled, or it can be renewed, or you can give it to some new player. Clear? Let us see. Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, launched the Asset Monetization Pipeline of Central Ministries and Public Sector Entities. Niti Aayog, very important, has developed the pipeline in consultation with infrastructure line ministries based on the mandate for asset monetization under Union Budget 21-22. NMP estimates aggregate monetization potential of rupees 6 lakh crores through core assets of the central government over a 4-year period from financial year 2022 to financial year 2025. That means just by renting this out, leasing the public sector entity or government property, government stands to make over 4 years how much money? 6 lakh crore. Asset monetization based on the philosophy of creation through monetization is aimed at tapping private sector investment for new infrastructure creation. This is necessary for creating employment opportunities, thereby enabling high economic growth and seamlessly integrate rural and semi-urban areas for overall public welfare. Simple. So private player also will be very happy. Why? Because he need not buy the full land from the government, which will run into crores together. He needs to only rent it out, lease it out, which will come a lot more cheaper than buying the land. And on top of it, some of the PSUs are there in remote areas. Correct. Like let us say Steel Authority of India Limited. So what do? You rent it out, you lease it out, you start making money. Getting the point here. So through this process, what is the advantages? Governments revenue receipt will increase, which is good news. Clear, people? Roads, transport and highways, railways, power, pipeline and natural gas, civil aviation, shipping, ports and waterways, telecommunications, food and public distribution, mining, coal, housing and urban affairs. These are the main components through which national monetization pipeline will be used to generate revenue. Apart from that, the key features when we talk about monetization of rights, not ownership. That means it is very, very clear assets have to be handed back to the government at the end of transaction life. So in South Korea, Japan, etc., if you actually go to the metro stations there, those metro stations don't lie empty like our metro stations here. You will notice there are shopping malls, there are food spaces, food joints. So many things are available there. Actual data suggests that there is no metro in this world which is running profitably. It's impossible because that much electricity is being consumed there. Then how is it that they are able to generate wealth? By renting out these places, the metro stations. So the waiting areas, etc., wherever we are sitting, standing or talking, all those places, they have utilized it beautifully, where per month they will get rent. Easy for the, so every metro station, if it starts generating revenue, imagine. Getting the point here. Moving on. Brownfield de-risked assets, stable revenue streams. Brownfield means already building is there, everything is there. Just some land near to it. There is no risk associated with it. That means there is no bank loan, nothing is there. And stable revenue streams it will generate. Number 3, structured partnerships under defined contractual frameworks with strict KPIs and performance standards. Just a minute, people, 1 minute. My hand is giving me trouble here. Okay. Defined contractual frameworks with strict KPIs and performance standards. What is KPI? Key performance indicators. That means here also we can basically see one of the fundamental features is going to be what? Outcome-based objective of Peter Drucker. You are giving the right rent, right money, right time, no issues. You're bringing in fresh investments, contract will extend. This includes selection of de-risked and brownfield assets with stable revenue generation profile with the overall transaction structure around revenue rights. The primary ownership of the assets under these structures hence continues to be with the government, with the framework envisaging handback of assets to the public authority at the end of transaction life. The estimated value corresponds to 14% of the proposed outlay for the center under NIP, 43 lakh crore. National infrastructure pipelines, 14%. That means somewhere around, what is it? 6 lakh crore. The government launched the National Infrastructure Pipeline with a forward-looking approach and with a projected infrastructure investment of around 111 lakh crore during financial year 20 to 25 to provide high-quality infrastructure across the country. The NIP currently has 8,964 projects with a total investment of more than 108 lakh crore under different stages of implementation. It has been proposed to integrate NIP and project monitoring group portals. The top 5 sectors capture 83% of the aggregate pipeline value for monetization, and they are roads, followed by railways, power, oil and gas pipelines, and then telecom. That is clubbing everything. Infrastructure pipeline, from the word as it suggests, it's a huge project to develop infrastructure in the country. But how am I going to bring private player there? Because national infrastructure pipeline, when we say, largely is a government-led project. So project 111 lakh crore investment is happening in it from where 2020 to 2025, 111 lakh crore is there. In that 111 lakh crore, one side it is there. On another side, what am I doing? National monetization pipeline, where I bring in private players also. That means overall target is what? Overall target is to develop infrastructure at the fastest. Put in private player, put in public player, and get infrastructure developed at the fastest rate possible so as to improve the growth and employability of Indians. Clear, people? So state government and administration, we will take a small break. 3:22 is the time. Yeah, we'll get back at 3:35. Okay. state government and administration. So once again, congratulations everybody. What journey we started off in November, we can almost say we are pretty much nearing the end of it. Okay, so let us start with that. Very first article of our constitution says, India is Bharat, shall be a union of states. The word union has been used to mean federation in the Constitution of the United States of America. In our constitution, the union is not a federation of the type set up by the US Constitution. The Indian Constitution has several features of a federation like the dual government, distribution of powers between the union and state governments, supremacy of the Constitution, and final authority of courts to interpret the Constitution. Means what? See, in USA, if the state of Minnesota or the state of California decides tomorrow, oh, I don't want to be part of USA, we are moving out of USA, and decides to become a separate country, can they do that? Yes, they can. Because it is like their name, United States of America. Different states came, and as per an agreement, they decided that, okay, we will all stand united and call ourselves USA. Clear? But that is not what union means in India. In India, the meaning of the name union is best described by the sentence, India is an indestructible union of destructible states. Means no state can say tomorrow, let us say I'm from the state of Kerala. State of Kerala decides tomorrow, oh, we don't want to be part of India, we want to be independent. Impossible. Impossible completely. Ulta, can the center decide, okay, let us change the boundary of the state of Kerala, let us change the size of the state of Kerala, let us change the name of the state of Kerala. Can the union government decide that? Absolutely yes. Obviously, it will be a political disaster and a political blunder, no doubt about it. But can they do that? Is the question. Absolutely yes. Getting the picture here. So that is why we generally say, even though we keep talking about federal principles, we are only quasi-federal. Because ultimately, union government has the upper hand over whom? State. Union government can dismiss a state government. But can state government dismiss union government? No. Getting the point here, people? Moving on. On the other hand, there are several unitary features like a unified judicial system, integrated machinery for election, accounts and audit, power of superintendence of union government over state government in emergencies, single citizenship, etc. Due to these features, our constitution lays down a quasi-federal polity. Granville Austin has called our federation a cooperative federalism due to the need for close cooperation between union government and state government. That is the most important highlight here. The union and the state governments function independently in their own spheres. We know it. There is a central list, 7th schedule of the Constitution. There is a central list, there is a state list, and then there is a concurrent list. Center can pass laws only on those subjects in the center and the concurrent list. They cannot interfere with the state until and unless there are certain criteria are there whereby which center can pass laws on a state subject. Other than that, under normal cases, center cannot pass a law which is given the state subject. Clear? There is an area of overlapping responsibility and certain powers of superintendence vested in the union government. Powers of the state government. The union government and state government derive their powers directly from the Constitution. The Constitution has adopted a threefold distribution of legislative powers between the union and states under Article 246. Schedule 7 of the Constitution enumerates the subjects into 3 lists. List 1 or the union list consists of the items over which the union has exclusive powers of legislation. List 2 or the state list comprises items over which the state has exclusive powers of legislation. List 3, known as the concurrent list, comprises subjects over which both union and states have powers to legislate. And in case of a conflict, generally, union law will have the upper hand over the state law. The residual powers are vested in the union. State list contains 59 items, originally 66 items in Schedule 7, over which the states have exclusive jurisdiction. Some of the important ones are public order, police, agriculture, public health and sanitation, local government, etc. These are subjects of maximum concern to the people, which can be better dealt with at the state level. These subjects are generally under the exclusive jurisdiction of the states, but under the following circumstances, Parliament can legislate on these matters. So, like I told you, Schedule 7, state list, when we say only state can pass laws. But certain exceptional conditions are there whereby which Parliament can pass laws on what? A state subject. Let us see. In national interest, Council of States, by a resolution of 2/3 of its members, that is Council of States, when we say it is Rajya Sabha, 2/3 of its members present and voting may authorize the Parliament to legislate on a state subject. Such authorization may be for 1 year at a time, but can be renewed by a fresh resolution. Second, under a proclamation of emergency, Parliament can pass laws on a state subject. With the consent of 2 or more states, the Parliament may legislate on a state subject with respect to consenting states. That means 2 or more states passes a resolution in their legislative assembly asking the Parliament, basically, please make a law on this subject. Parliament can make a law which will be only applicable to the consenting states. That means, let us say Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra request the Parliament to make a law. Parliament made the law also on a particular subject. Will that law will be applicable in Telangana? No. If Telangana also passes a resolution to that effect, then that law will become applicable. Clear? That is why this word becomes important. Consenting states. D. Parliament has powers to legislate with reference to any subject for the purpose of implementing treaties or international agreements. They can pass law. That is, let us say Parliament passed a law telling that, okay, we are only going to support green energy and we will try to ensure that we don't burn any waste products. So can Parliament make a law on sanitation? Absolutely yes, even though it comes under a state subject. When a proclamation is issued by the President on the failure of constitutional machinery in any state, he may declare that the powers of the state legislature shall be exercised by or under the authority of the Parliament. That is, when President's rule is in effect, Parliament will pass law for the state. Concurrent list. The concurrent list, which originally comprises 52 items, though the last item is numbered 47, over which the union and state legislatures have concurrent jurisdiction. Important ones are criminal law, criminal procedure, marriage, education, civil procedure, insurance, economic and social planning, etc. While the union and states can legislate on any of the subjects in the concurrent list, predominance is given to the union legislature. It means that in case of repugnancy between the union and a state law relating to the same subject, the former prevails. Simply means in case there is a deadlock, whether union government can pass a law or state can pass a law on a subject in a concurrent list, union law will prevail. That is why we say we have a strong center. Clear? If, however, the state law was reserved for the assent of the President and has received such assent, the state law may prevail, notwithstanding such repugnancy, but it would still be competent for the Parliament to override such state law by subsequent legislation. Means a state law is there, which has state has passed a law on a particular subject, let us say education. It is pending with the President. President gave assent. Then what will prevail? State law. Can the union government do something about it? Definitely yes. They can still pass a law inside the Parliament overriding the state law. So on any way you see it, union law will prevail. Any dispute about the interpretation of the entries in the 3 lists is to be decided by the courts. Following principles have been followed in such interpretation. In case of overlapping of a subject between the 3 lists, predominance is given to union legislature. Each entry is given the widest importance that its words are capable of without rendering another entry nugatory. Means what? Widest possible thing is given, not a narrow interpretation. That is, if you take education also, who is best at framing a law for primary education? Who is best at framing a law for higher education? Clear? In order to determine whether a particular enactment falls under one entry or another, its pith, means essence of something, and substance, essential part of something, is considered. If the pith and substance, that is the true object of the legislation, pertains to a subject within the competence of the legislature that enacted it, it should be held to be intra vires, although it may incidentally encroach on the matters not within the competence of the legislature. Means what? Pith and substance is always same. Pith and substance means they will literally look into the essence and the essentiality. So Tamil Nadu doesn't want to be part of NEET. And Tamil Nadu is trying to pass a resolution to that effect. Tamil Nadu, let us say, passes a bill also. Now a question comes, higher education, who should take a call? So higher education means NEET exam. When you talk about it, is at all India level. Anything at an all India level, who can make a law? Union government, correct? So when you talk about the essence and essentiality of a common entrance test for the whole country, only who can make a law there? Union government. Agreed? That is the first part. But in the process, is Tamil Nadu government's ability to conduct their own exam, entrance exam for medicine or engineering, is that getting tampered? Yes. Is it being encroached upon? Absolutely yes. Because education comes under concurrent list. Getting the point here. But why are we allowing it still? If it is violating Tamil Nadu's ability to have their own entrance exam, why is it that courts are allowing it? Because we have to look at it widely. Central government is not making an exam, or central government is not making a law which is only putting Tamil Nadu at fault or Tamil Nadu at a disadvantage. They are making it for the whole country. Getting the picture here? They are making it for the whole country. So whole country, when you take it up, yes, it is perfectly constitutional, even though there is slight encroachment into state's territory. Clear, people? Moving on. So with that, we come to an end of today's class. I am keeping it very limited purposefully only because I know many of you are very engrossed with your films preparation. So this is the best way I thought we will keep it. So classes also we can keep short, and still don't worry, we will still manage to finish the syllabus on time. All right. So that's about it, people. Any doubts or queries that you have, please do let me know. All right. Let's call it a day.